This is the CyberPowerPC 17-inch Tracer 3 with the latest Intel CPU and the RTX series 2060 graphics card inside. Now, if you're watching this video, it's an inexpensive gaming laptop, so let's just go ahead and see what it's all about. We're going to go ahead and unbox this thing. I'm going to open up the back and show you what's included. We're going to go ahead and run some games. We're going to check out the LED features. We're going to see the operating system. We're going to see the different software that's included with it, what kind of upgradability you have with this thing. We're going to really show you a comprehensive review on this thing because it's about $200 to $400 cheaper than the MSI, the Acer, and the Asus, and way cheaper than the Dell and Alienware options. So let's go ahead and run this through and see if this might be a budget option for you. This thing comes really well packaged in an extremely large box. Most laptops I've seen it is about half the size of the big box there. And then when you open this up here, you have instructions, quick start guide. You actually have an extra hard drive caddy in case you want to add a SATA drive. And then you got the power supply box and the laptop. That's very well packaged, as you see. When you open the laptop, it has tons of film on it, so you got to peel all of that back off. Do know that the top of this thing is a fingerprint magnet, but that's pretty typical for all gaming laptops. So next step is just to peel off everything from the webcam to the touchpad to the back plate here. The top of the laptop does not light up. That is just a laser etched logo on the top. Here's some additional photos of the unit. It is mostly plastic, although the top is aluminum. This is a slim design. It's very basic. There are some RGB things on it, which I'll show you, which is the keyboard and the front bar. We'll see a little closer pickup of that. We'll talk about the ports in a moment. We're also going to take off the back so you can see what's in there. But as you can see, it's very slim, it's very sleek, and there's not a lot of advertising. I do like that. I'm not necessarily a fan of this keyboard. You also see there next to the power switch, there's a game mode switch, which is kind of hokey. You can also do that in the software as well, but you can switch between low battery and high battery, high performance battery pack, 180 watt, pretty big, but not bigger than a lot of the other laptops on the market. Now here we go underneath. You can see the big battery, 4100 milliamps. You get around anywhere from 5 hours if you're really good on the battery. If you're doing intense stuff, you're only going to get a couple hours. You're going to want to keep this thing plugged in. Right there you saw this hard drive configuration. We'll go back to that in just a second, but you can add an extra a flash memory, and you can add an extra SATA drive as well, an extra M2. There's a speaker. It's got a little subwoofer thing. Speakers are not great in this thing. There's the Wi-Fi. Here you got lots of heat pipes here. This is really good to see, which is some really good cooling. You're going to need that on the 2060 and the newer i7 that's in this computer. But there you go. See, there's an extra slot there that I'm going to use, and then you got an extra slot here for a SATA drive, and then you got the little speaker there. Now, going along the sides here, you have the Kingston lock if you want to lock your laptop. You got a USB 2.0 port here, which is kind of ridiculous. And then you got the RJ, the LAN connection, and then headphone and microphone. In the front here, this whole little unit here is that LED bar kind of right in the middle there. You can turn it on or off. You can change the colors, have it rainbow mode, whatever. Kind of gimmicky, but whatever. There's no latch on this laptop. It just kind of sits on the top, which is pretty typical of laptops. Then you have your SD card reader, and then your two USB 3.1s. They're not 3.2, they are 3.1s. And then as you see, ton of ventilation here, both on the side and the backs. And then you have two mini display ports and HDMI, and then USB Type-C Gen 1, or I think it's 3.1, and then your power supply out the back. I like that the power supply is out the back. I'd also prefer the LAN out the back, but I understand why they did that. And then here you go at the bottom of it, which is pretty standard, just some nice cooling, nothing too aggressive. You got some rubber feet on there, and it's about, I want to say about 10 or 12 screws to take this thing off. Now here we have the RGB. I'm not an RGB fan, but you can see here I'm editing the RGB, and you could change the colors, you can make it move, you can make it not move. You can also make it so when you're on battery that it stops, and when you're on battery, when you're plugged in, it works. That way you're not draining the battery. For these RGBs, you're only using them when you have excess power to use. So you can turn it on during only boot up, and you can turn it on during when it's on, or vice versa, turn it off during boot up and on while you're on the computer. So there's a couple different settings there in the app that's included. Now I'm going to also show you the light bar here. This is kind of showing the keys, and I set up some breathing. And then there's the light bar. As you can see, it's only about half the computer length. This is a 17-inch computer, and you could do all sorts of fun stuff with it. So here's showing off the computer itself, just sharing my screen with you. This is the app that comes with it. It comes with a very clean version of Windows. I'm zoomed in right now, but I'm gonna run CPU-Z so you can see the configuration I'm running on this laptop. But I have to admit, it's very bare bones. The problem I have with like Lenovo and some of these other brands is there's so much bloatware. So if you want something with not a lot of bloatware that just runs great, so far I'm really liking this. So as you can see, the latest Coffee Lake processor. And then memory, it is 2 8GB sticks. So if you want to upgrade, you need to throw out your 16 gigs. You need to start with like 2 16s or just a 24. Now we're going to play some games for the remainder of the video before I give you my summary. And what I typically do is I'll show you my settings, and then I'll play the game a bit. And then I'm going to open up the MSI Afterburner, and then I'll show you like how hot the GPU is getting, how much of the GPU we're using. Although some of the stats in some of the games here you'll be able to see. The way that in order this is going to go is it's going to go Doom first, then we're going to play Counter-Strike Go, and then lastly we're going to play some Fortnite. So as you can see here, we're checking out the CPU and the GPU. Let's go ahead and scroll up. So there you go, GPU temps, nothing crazy. This is the first game I played. I ended up playing on this thing for like 3 hours during these tests, and the GPU and CPU never passed the low 80s, 80 degrees Fahrenheit. As far as GPU, it was definitely maxed out the most during Fortnite. As far as CPU, depending on the game, it was never even close to being maxed out. So as you see here, you can see some of these temps. Nothing crazy. I mean, it does plateau. The line does not just keep going north. So that's what people worry about, is the cooling on these machines. And this one is definitely good. So this is after the game of CSGO, and as you can see, all within good specs. Performance was great, over 200 frames per second, everything on high. It was running really well. Here was my settings for Fortnite.
It's updated. I don't want to know. This tactical shotgun might scare me. It got buff. The tactical shotty? Or like the legendary one? Oh, okay. It's dangerous. Coming. I'm coming. Coming, I'm coming. Nice, nice, nice. Wait for it. As many arrows were. Oh, rip.
So my screen recorder didn't capture the content after Fortnite, but I could tell you the temperatures were very similar, although my GPU was totally maxed out at like 99% on those settings. So you might want to lower them, but it was running just fine. Like I said, I gamed for 3 or 4 hours between all three of those games. And not 3 to 4, probably about 2.5 hours, 3 hours. And the CPU was not hot to the touch. The keyboard was not hot. That's another thing. I wasn't using the keyboard. I was using an auxiliary keyboard. But if I was, the keyboard, this laptop only gets hot in the upper right and the upper left corners, which some of these newer, really thin game laptops get hot all over. So there you have it. I really like how discreet this thing is. It's slim. I got the 2060 because I didn't want to consume a ton of power. And I don't game all that much, but I did want to have RTX and have real-time tracing capabilities if I ever wanted to go down that road. I wanted to have that laptop. That's why I didn't go for a 1660 Ti laptop. So far, I'm liking it. My biggest pet peeves on it are probably the keyboard is not that great, but I usually use an auxiliary keyboard, so it's not a really big deal. I love the touchpad. The touchpad is actually really nice. I'm a fan of the touchpad. The monitor is really nice, 144 hertz. It's 17-inch, so you can watch movies on it. The speakers are garbage. And really, there's no good gaming laptops out there. I say MSI is one of the better ones with good speakers, but this has Bluetooth. Just buy a Bluetooth speaker. It's going to sound way better, and you're already hunking around a 17-inch laptop. So what's another little speaker? I'm not a fan of the RGB, but hey, you just turn that off and that's not an issue. The other thing is on this side, the USB 2.0. I mean, why the hell do you have USB 2.0 in the generation where everyone's coming out with USB 3.2 or Type C? Now, this does have one Type C on the back, and it does have the 3.0s on the other side, but I would like to have a 3.0 or 3.1 on each side. But either way, I'll probably use a USB hub, so that's an obstacle I was willing to go over. So this is about $300 to $400 cheaper than the name brands, yet it delivers similar performance. So if you're in the market to save a few dollars, you'll see these at Best Buy, you'll see these on B&H, you'll see these on Amazon. You can buy them direct as well. I'll go ahead and leave links in the description to those. If you have any questions, go ahead and comment. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and we'll catch you on the next one.